Incoming transmission from the future, Vancouver AI Community Meetup.
All right, welcome everybody. You're at the Vancouver AI Community Meetup. This is our 29th month in a row of doing this event. Yeah. You've been here for so many of them. Second row crowd in the house. You guys have got your spots nailed down with the names on the seats and everything. I like it. I was gonna do a contest with like a prize under the seats tonight or whatever, and I was gonna put it in your row, so you guys might want to. I didn't do that, but maybe. Who here walked in the anti-data center demonstration on Saturday? Good job, Finn. Respect. Yeah, a lot of people were surprised to hear that I was down there with bells on. I made some signs and was out there talking to the people. You know, like there was that announcement about a $1 billion federal investment for data centers in Vancouver 2 weeks ago. And, you know, like there was a very small consultation process and, you know, it just got like given to TELUS kind of without much talking to anybody about it, asking anyone what they wanted and stuff, you know? And so we're out there. I was just listening and trying to build bridges with other people who are feeling resistant, pissed off, fucking angry about this tech, you know, for many times for good reasons. As you guys have heard me say from this very stage, I think that the protesters were as wrong as the hypers and the boosters, the people that don't take any of those things into consideration. You know, I think that the real answer is to be able to hold that contradiction of, yeah, I'm more creative, productive, and powerful than I've ever been in my whole life, but also these things are trained on the stolen works of mankind, full of misogyny, homophobia, and racism, grossly inefficient with their use of water and power, and so many other things. And so like both those things can be true at the same time. So anyway, I was just out there reporting from the front lines and listening and hearing what was going on. It was a very interesting demonstration. I got a couple blog posts up on my website if you want to hear more about like the thoughts around that stuff. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to ask that as we get started. I'd like to get us started off here by doing more than just like a land acknowledgement or something like that. I have invited my friend Gabriel George Senior from the Tsleil-Waututh Nation to come in. He's been here lots before. You guys will recognize him. What's up, man? I'm gonna just leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Chris. Tsleil-Waututh na koito na seam na seatya. I konashkwalawan konzi kutsnala seam. All of you, my dear family, friends, I have good feelings seeing each and every one of you. Amid's up kutquilam at Sanak Kwalmuch, and I welcome you here to this village that's known as Sanak, and it means the head inside. And at one time, False Creek ran all the way up to like near Clark Street. And on high tide, you could enter from Burrard Inlet on the inside of Burrard Inlet, not just through English Bay in that area. And Stanley Park became an island as well at high tide. And at low tide, you could walk across where Stanley Park is into West Vancouver and North Vancouver. And so our nations, Tsleil-Waututh, our Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, we have been deeply impacted in many ways. And so it's good to be here with all of you. I want to continue with a prayer, and then after that, I'll share a song. Tsleil-Waututh, Siwan Ash, Haitz Abkasi, Itz Se amas it setes te quachqua, it sminmant, it statlo, it statlo, it setes at the katsa, it setes at the shorthiket, it setes at the smamayath, it siaquum, it setes at the sauce tamu. It's hours. I'm giving gratitude today to the ancestors and giving gratitude to the mountains, the ocean, the rivers, the streams, the forest, giving gratitude to the sun, which warms us, gives us strength, gives us energy, and also giving gratitude to the sacred earth that is provided for our people. And and giving thanks for this good day as well. I want to share an eagle song. I had a, let me think about this for a second here. I had a great-great-grandmother that lived here at this village in Tsleil-Waututh. And when it was appropriated, they came in with barges and moved our families out. She moved back over to where I'm registered now, Tsleil-Waututh Nation, the Burrard Inlet Indian Reserve number 3. And so I also sing this song thinking about that and the trauma that she had endured. Again, this is the eagle song, and the words in this song are Quetzit Alchus Pakas. Quetzit Alchus Pakas, and that means the eagle is watching over us. Again, that was the eagle song, and I shared some time back, and some of the history of this land, some of the things that came from long ago. We call them shwiyam sometimes, our history, our stories. And there was a powerful medicine man that was sitting up on the mountains across on the North Shore, and he had a vision. And in that vision, he saw longhouses going up into the sky. And there are other prophecies as well in different parts of what many Indigenous people call North America, Turtle Island. And there was a prophecy from the Hopi people that one day a web was going to cover the earth. The Hopi people prophesied this. And they said that in this web that our Hmong people, our Indigenous people, would play an important role. And many of us now look at that as the internet and as the work that happens in this web that connects us all. And I just wanted to share a little bit of my worldview, some of my teachings and some of my stories, some of my history. Again, thanks for having me here, Chris, and it's good to see all of you. Hi, Seth.
Thank you. Thank you, Gabriel. I have heard that story before, but I think it's amazing that your great-grandmother lived. When he says Sanak, he's talking about here. Sanak is also the name of those 4 towers out there that the Squamish Nation just built that just got finished that people are moving into. But your great-grandmother lived here and was forcibly removed to the reserve you live on now. It's amazing. I feel like it's part of our reconciliation work to host you back here and to let you, have you be here and to be able to tell. It's pretty amazing, really. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And how about those the Hopi prophecy about the web that will cover the earth? I imagine that The Sanok buildings, the high-rises, are the long houses that go to the sky, Gabriel?
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you very much for being here. And even more importantly, dude, thanks for the work that you do, like looking after the inlet and the waterways out here. I know that it's your life's work and that you and your family are really committed to all that. And thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you. We're going to go to our first speaker. Before we do, it takes a village to raise a meetup. Mr. Pixel Wizard, who many of you guys know, Victor. Where's Alex? Where's Alex? Yep. Yeah. You ready to party? Up first, we have Dr. Rachel Horst, who I met in a different lifetime when I was a rock and roll photographer and she was a rock star. And your label called me to come make some film photos with you up on the Sunshine Coast. And I thought from the very first moment that I met you that you were so cool. Like living on the coast, living on the reservation. Not a lot of white people choose to live on the reservation. Teaching music, your family. I've long looked up to you. And so when you came back into our world a couple of years ago with your PhD and interest in creative AI, I was all ears. And so I'm very, very happy to invite Dr. Rachel Horst here tonight. She's going to tell you more about her work, but she entered a contest. She built an agentic anti-slop creative magnum opus creation tool of some sort. Dr. Rachel Horst.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you. All right. Yes, so I am Rachel Horst. I am a lecturer at UBC in the Master of Educational Technology program. And my research is, I do a lot of different kinds of things, but I'm predominantly an arts-based researcher. And I'm really interested in how digital technologies and AI specifically are changing our literacy practices, our meaning-making practices, our learning practices. So I haven't memorized my whole talk for you all, so I'm going to be, I was practicing at the beach today, but I didn't practice with a mic in my hand, so it's going to be interesting, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to, the talk today is called Building an Anti-Slop Machine. So I'm going to share this research I did with you that it all started a couple months ago. We can go to the next slide. With this provocation in the form of a contest. And the provocation of the contest was, AI fiction sucks, and what is your theory of how to fix it? But I've come to understand that the real question here, and the question, the question I think that makes this talk, I hope, relevant to all of you in this room, is that AI slop sucks. And so I'm going to share a theory about what it is that sucks and what we can do to fix it. And I think what makes this relevant to everyone in the room is that we all use AI in our work, I imagine, and we all know, like whether it's in your creative practices, whether it's in your studies, your organization, even organizing your playlist for your workout. I think we all know that we all kind of are pushing against this slopification, and it's related to Cory Doctorow's enshittification, if you've heard that. But the slopification is a little different, right? And I think we're all we're resisting that in our work, I think. So in this presentation, I'm going to share a theory about how to solve this problem. And I'm going to do it in the form of a fiction machine that I built for this contest, and I'm going to tell you about it. But I think this talk is not only about fiction, and I don't even think it's really about AI. I think it's about creativity and how to make things that mean and matter in a world that is increasingly inundated with this endless iteration of meaningless stuff that we are all, bombarded by, right? How do we keep making things that matter? Okay, so the contest is run by this company called Hyperstition. And I had come across this term in my doctoral studies. My doctoral studies were all about how we use fiction to build the future. We build futures with fiction, and we build technologies through fiction, through fictioning. And so Hyperstition names this idea. It's a combination between hype and superstition, and it names the phenomena where some kinds of fiction, some kind of fictions like myth, like hype, like propaganda, get circulated and repeated so often that they start organizing behavior, and then they insert themselves into the real and become real. They become real. The fictions become real. So. AI now, amazingly, interestingly, is operationalizing this hyperstitional loop. If we could go to the next one, yeah. So we feed the AI, we train the AI with all kinds of data, including fiction, right? Our all the huge body of stories, novels, AI imaginaries, metaphors, and all this stuff feeds the AI, which then trains the behavior, which then informs the output, which then gets inserted into the real, right? So there's this hyperstitional loop. Okay, so I just want to say, because I can hear some people arguing, of course, this is not a one-to-one relationship, and values alignment in AI is a live field, as we all know. But there is research that supports this this movement of AI fiction kind of guiding the way LLMs end up behaving. Okay. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, so back to Hyperstition. So this company had this idea, not crazy and kind of adorable, that all our AI fiction is like, can we go to the next slide, is apocalyptic, it's like disastrous, AI is gonna take over humanity, it's gonna like burn down the world, right? Like there's very little AI fiction about like well-behaved, happy, futures with AI. And so their thought, which is not crazy, is like, this fiction is going to, train the systems towards this apocalyptic imaginary, and we need to counteract that with helpful, aligned, safe, well-behaved fiction. So they did it. They made this huge corpus of like well-behaved, we'll just stay there for a second, well-behaved AI fiction, and now it's on Hugging Face, you can download it. And I know you're all gonna run home and download it and read it tonight, right? No, you're not, because I'm sure they encountered the problem that it's terrible, right? Like it's gonna be boring as hell, horrible stuff, not good fiction. So I wasn't surprised very soon after this, that I learned about this project, that they announced, we can go to the next slide, the Anti-Slop fiction contest. Okay, so this is the contest, and I was very excited to read about it. So the way it works is, and we could just fill this whole slide up. So you build a prompt harness, you design it, you build it, and all you can do as a human being is enter the tweet length prompt and press go. And then you submit your output. There's no co-design, there's no co-imagining, there's no all the words that we use to talk about how we write with AI. None of that, okay? So you just build the prompt harness, press go, and submit the output. This is not as easy as it seems, and the story that I ended up submitting, there were lots of places where I wanted to like just fix it a little, but no, you're not allowed to do it. And it's yes. So this is the setup. Okay, So the first part of the contest was to submit your theory about what was wrong with AI fiction, and then how you were going to fix it, and then they were going to select from those essays and submissions some contestants. I was among them, and they gave you $280 Canadian of money to pay for compute, to train and test your system. in order to do this, in order to fix something, you have to understand it, right? So what is slop? And why is it so offensive to our sensibilities, right? It's like gross, it sucks. Why? So I'm going to share a theory about why, and then my fix. So if we could go to the next slide. So my answer to the question of why AI fiction sucks is actually that it's pretty good. Like, it's fine. It's fine. It works. It has structure, it has style, it has imagery, emotional beats, that's it. It's death by fine. And I think here, if we can just fill this slide up now, I think it's helpful to make a distinction between something that is bad and something that is slop. And this is an interesting distinction. Not all slop is bad. I have some very favorite sloppy artworks that I love. Shrimp Jesus is my favorite, right? And certainly not all bad things are slop. So bad, and as an educators in the room, we want bad in our submissions. We don't want slop, we want bad, if we're gonna have one or the other. Bad is awkward, it's strange, it's embarrassing, it can be overdone, underdone, but it's doing something in a particular direction, right? It has some kind of human pressure in it. It can tell you something about what the person wanted to do, the intention there, but just couldn't quite make happen, right? Slop is different. Slop is offensive because it lacks intentionality. It's too easy. It works. It gives you the shape of meaning without the necessity of meaning. It gives you the feeling of a story without a story. And nothing in it has to be there. So I think the secret heart of AI slop is this concept of fungibility, which is the swappability. Anything can be swapped out for anything else. One character for another, one metaphor, one trauma, in this endless supply of iterations of fine in slightly different ways, right? Just endless. AI is the ever swapper, right? None of these shapes match. Well, I can just keep giving you shapes till Tuesday, right? Just keep going. And this is the thing. LLMs are made this way for a very good reason. They are meant to be useful, responsive, optimizing, frictionless. They're not meant to stop and be like, oh, which shape should I choose? I don't know. It's like, for this context, they're not meant to do that. You don't want your LLM to do that. That's going to mess your flow, right? They optimize, they complete, they fill in the blanks. Left to their own devices, they go to the middle of things, right? That's where slop lives, right in the middle of whatever you direct your LLM at. They go to the middle, and that's where they land. Another thing for the next one. Okay, so this effect. So when I sat down to move from theory to actually building this thing, I realized that I had some pretty obscure language for the kind of story that I wanted to make and how I thought we would get there. I would say things like, write me a sentence that resists closure, that has windows open for meaning to move through. And I soon found out that the LLM had no idea what I was talking about. And when it didn't understand, it said, and it simply filled things in for me. And that filler read like filler. So I have this good friend who was going to come tonight but couldn't. And she's been my editor over the years, and she's moody and irritable and opinionated. I can say that because she's not here. And she has zero passion for how I sometimes slip into dense and complicated language. That can sometimes, it's true, only sometimes, obscure the fact that I don't really know what I'm saying. And she always says, stop, Rachel, what are you trying to say? 5 words or less. The LLM won't do that to you, right? It's not going to say, what the hell are you talking about? Sometimes it does, but rarely, if we're honest. And it will just quietly nod and say, and fill in whatever imprecision you've left open for it, right? And it does it quietly. If you could just go to the next one. So since building my magnificent machine, I have gone back in to develop this talk and look at the wondrous thing I made, and I've discovered lots of places in the instructions and in the agents that I didn't write, like instructions I didn't write, all this smoothing that happened in the build. Where it just smeared across the distance between one point and another and filled things in with this stuff. And I think this is an important insight for everyone who works with AI, is that you need to be really vigilant about that smoothing and averaging and blurring unintentional aspects to the build that you're working on, because I do think it has effects downstream in the output. So yes, so I'd like to move on to the next slide. Okay. So I want to make the system itself be a kind of artwork. This is the essential irony of the contest. They wanted a work written entirely by AI. But I think the way to combat AI slop is to reassert the idiosyncrasies and situatedness of human judgment. Yeah, all throughout, thank you. All throughout the automation, and leave as little up to the LLM as possible. So it's work. Oh, it's work. You're not going to get a story about like optimization here. I'm sorry. That's, or this is automation, but it's like hard automation. Okay. So I needed to get really articulate in my instructions to build a container, a pasta machine, if you will, made up of constraints and pressures. Each element of the machine is a macro and micro judgment, a human judgment. So the idea is to take the stuff of the LLM, the medium of the LLM, like dough, and design conditions to resist the smoothing tendencies and that drift towards the middle, and maximize the other tendencies, because I do love AI and LLMs. They are beautiful and they have wondrous capacities. Their incredible reach, their precision, their computational mastery, all these wonderful, wondrous elements that we can maximize and minimize, the sloppy stuff. So, and here's my friend, but this sounds hard. If we could go to the next. So yeah, authoring the process and not the product, moving the authorship. So there's authorship here. It's just in the process and not the product. So can we go to the next slide? So technology reveals process differently. So if you know this iconic photograph of the horse's gait, right? Photography allowed us to see the elements of the horse's gait that you can't see with the human eye. And we understood something deeper about the movement of a horse with the aid of that technology. Similarly, I think we can build automation in such a way that it brings us into an understanding of the process that we're automating. So if we go ahead to the next one, as I was building this, so we automate to understand a process. The next one, yeah. So drawing, I don't know if there's anyone who draws in the house. I'm sure many of you do, probably. Yes, good. So we draw. We don't draw to replace the thing or to solve it or to make a final statement about the thing, or so now we've drawn it. It doesn't need to be here anymore. But we draw to notice, right? We draw to reveal, we draw to interpret, to discover. So this is how I began to think about automation in this particular instance of the machine, was not a shortcut to the product, but as a sketch of the process of writing a story. Okay, so the next, so in order to do this, in order to articulate the conditions for something like a story to happen, computationally. It's kind of cool. I needed to be really clear about what the LLM was going to draw from and what it was going to do with it. And I wanted things to happen along the way, things that happen to me along the way of my process when I'm doing something creative. I wanted false starts. I wanted disagreements. I wanted choices to be made and then unmade. I wanted play with language, and if it's not, play, because something like play with language. I wanted the story to be nonlinear and to move towards those non-fungible, load-bearing elements that if you took it out of the story would break. I wanted details that grounded the story in a specific world, not any world. So now I'm going to show you the system itself, and then I'm going to show you some of the inner workings with one of the stories that it generated. So we'll go to the next slide. So the world. This is what the story cares about. And so before anything happens, before anything is written, there's all the stories in the Anti-Slop system are deeply interested in AI and the impacts these technologies have on human beings. So Anti-Slop stories take it as a given that AI is already changing human experience and changing ordinary human experience. So then we have the corpus. This is what the story remembers. So in the system that I designed, there are two persistent bodies of text. One of them is the theory. So I have a theory agent that goes out into the internet and finds open source, wild theory about AI, recent research. It pulls that theory in, and that it generates ideas, and it adds this to the corpus that keeps growing as the stories perpetuate. It's cool. Okay, thanks. And then I'm going to show you a little bit from it. And then the other body is my own writing, and it's indexed and chunked into little bits that can be semantically used as context for voice. So the drafting agent draws on that for a voice. Then we have the seed, which is the tweet length story idea, and the system that I built has gone through 6 generations, and each seed has a human and a technology in some kind of conflictual relationship. And then we have the agents. So the agents are designed ways of paying attention, and there's 8 of them in this system, and they have processes. So that's what the agents do. So they search, they read, they deposit, they interview, they draft, they annotate, revise. I have one that just cuts. And then each of these processes creates an output. And so that's the traces of the processes. And so all of these outputs are made into markdown files in a file structure, so each story, and I'll show you in a sec. And then I can go in and read those outputs, and if I don't like them, I go back to the instructions and tweak so the whole journey to the drafts. The final element is the drafts. Each story has 3 drafts and a final PDF, and you can see the story changing. So you can see the story sort of emerging all through this process. So now I'll just show you the file structure. So here is yes. So that's one story, and you can see all the elements, the drafts, the characters, the notes, the letters, the theory deposits, and the faces. Okay, so I'm gonna share the story seed for a story, and then I'm gonna give you a rich synopsis of the story, and then show you some pieces in between the seed and the final thing, okay? So this is the seed. The custodian of a regional archive is told the AI will preserve everything. She begins quietly to misfile documents, testing what counts as preservation when nothing can get lost. So that's the seed. Now I'm going to give you a rich synopsis, and I'm just going to read it to you. Now it's story time. Okay. So Margit, so the story is called The Hand That Will Not Lift, and the stories get their titles as part of their output. It doesn't start out with the title, obviously. Okay, so Margit is the custodian of a regional archive. And it's almost this magic realist archive. I didn't give the system any information about that, but it just came out that way. It was really cool. So like containing all the paper of a community, the parking tickets, the personal letters, all the stuff, and even pins and different things. And so Margit is this custodian, worked there for years, and she helps bring in an AI system meant to preserve and retrieve everything in the collection and to automate her job, essentially. So at first, the system seems efficient and accurate, but it begins surfacing documents that Margit has deliberately allowed to remain hidden. Letters, affidavits, and records whose placement in the archive has been shaped not by formal procedure, but by her ethical judgment, privacy, grief, and even care. So her old practice, she had this practice of misfiling elements in the archive. And it wasn't negligence. It was her way of honoring informal requests from protecting descendants, even recognizing that some records, though preserved, should not be easily found. So as the AI makes everything searchable, Margit starts to lose her sort of intuitive, bodily sense of archival responsibility. I didn't write this. Yeah, I know. So her hand that once knew where things belonged no longer knows what to do. And the crisis becomes personal when Margit realizes that the same system that exposes other people's buried histories can also expose the lies she has maintained for 33 years about her brother Peter's death. She has been protecting her elderly father by letting him believe that Peter is alive elsewhere, rather than letting him know that Peter died by suicide in 91. When Margit goes home one evening and searches on her personal access to the system from home, searches her brother's name, the archive returns the police report, the coroner's report, the newspaper clippings, and she understands in that moment that her private act of protection has now become part of the system's retrieval record. And the story ends with Margit suspended between action and inaction. Her father has called unexpectedly, and she can't decide whether to answer with truth. Her hand still won't lift. And so, yeah, the story is about preservation versus protection. It's about the archive as an ethical practice, which is, very human. And then, and AI as the end of informal forgetting. It's pretty cool, right? Okay, so now we're going to go back and I'm going to introduce to you the beginning of the story from the seed and what we did. So the next one, please. So from the seed, there's two agents that go out. Yes, just stop here for a sec. Okay. So the character agent, whose name is Francis, that's an important detail, is multimodal, and it draws 3 images at random from a bank of 67 portraits that I'd pulled from Unsplash database. And the photos are all openly licensed, and the system retains the metadata and the photographer credits and everything. Okay. And the character agent builds a character profile with a physical description of the person, a photo, a history, and builds their voice through an interview. So for this system, this portrait was drawn. This is Margit. If we could go to the next one. So this is Margit Halloran, the archivist and protagonist of Selective Forgetting. Well, that's the first name of the story. So I'll just give you a brief history. She's from Duluth, Minnesota. She's got an Irish-American father and a Hungarian mother, and this is where the detail about her brother having been born in '68 and having died of an overdose in a motel. And the central contradiction of her life that the character agent composes is she is the most rigorously honest person in any room she enters. She will correct a citation, a date, a misattributed quote, and yet she's been lying to her father about her brother for 33 years. In her father's mind, he's in Oregon doing well, just not good at calling. She invented a job for him. She invented a girlfriend. So it goes on. There's all this rich stuff in there, and not all of it gets storied into the final output, but these are some of the details that the later agents picked up on. So at the same time, the theory agent goes out, and this is, I think, my favorite part of the system. The theory agent goes out and draws from, like, if anyone's into AI research, like, there's so many crazy, weird, cool stuff being published every day about these weird beasts. So the theory agent goes out and draws those papers, 3 of them, and then creates these theory deposits. So this one paper, so for this story, there's a paper called How Do Language Models Learn Facts? Dynamics, Curricula, and Hallucinations. So I'm just going to give you a little brief synopsis of the paper. So large language models learn in sharp phases, not smooth phases. The same fact can be learned through different mechanisms that interfere with each other. So hallucinations, according to them, aren't random noise, they're structured failures, where facts learned early on get masked by later training in predictable patterns. So the theory agent then takes that theory and thinks, what does this mean to the humans in the story? So the theory agent writes this. So the custodian doesn't know it, but she's stumbled into the same insight. This AI system has been told to preserve everything, but everything isn't a flat list. It's a sequence. It's a curriculum. What gets ingested first becomes the substrate. What comes later can mask it without removing it. By misfiling elements in an archive, she isn't destroying facts. She's rewriting the order in which the system encounters the world. If the paper is right, that hallucinations are structured failures, her misfiling produces structured truths of a different kind. A document in the wrong drawer doesn't disappear, it grows a different neighborhood. It grows a different neighborhood. The marriage license next to the demolition order, the land deed next to the deportation list, new facts emerge, not invented, but composed by adjacency. Right? It's really cool stuff. And the stories are full of these juicy bits of, like, and this is the point, this AI theory tells us about our lives and like what it is to know things and remember things. Yes, anyways, the point I wanted to demonstrate by showing you these 2 agents is that I tried to make the system answerable to specific things in the world, specific faces, specific research, specific material and social realities. And when you point the system at something specific like that, like the stuff that it came up with was nuts. Okay, so we can just like zoom through this one. Yeah.
Where are you at?
Sorry, am I almost done?
I'm just asking where you're at.
I'm almost done. 2 more pages.
Because I got 10 questions and I bet all of them do too.
Okay. Well, let me get there. Okay, this is tofu, by the way. Okay, so one thing I really did not want the system to do was tell it to write like something. I think part of what turns our stomach about AI slop is that it surfaces as disguised. It's pretending, it's trying to trick you. Somebody's tricking you, they're telling you they wrote it and it wrote it, right? Like it's this disguise of human labor, which hides an absence somewhere of care, thought, or intention. So when the LLM, and I don't know if you've experienced this, when it thought it was writing literature, oh my God, the most disgusting sentences of all time, right? Just vapid, shiny stuff. It could mimic literature and poetry, but that mimicry is the problem. It's all convention, no intention. It sounded like literature without being about anything. But the system became much more interesting when I forced it to stop pretending and instead do the things it was good at, right? Its precision, its specificity, its unexpected connections. It could pull details I'd never heard of. It could make a mother speak Romanian to her child. It knows all the side streets in Sudbury, Ontario. So I thought a lot about cooking the pasta and also the tofu, this one. So in cooking, you transform ingredients towards an output. You bring skill, sequence, you work with that ingredient, and you create the conditions for the flavors to happen, right? So tofu is not failed meat. But when you dress it up like a turkey, or when you say this is bacon, it fails because you sit down and taste for the thing that it is not, right? And you're always going to find a lack. But yeah, tofu is not failed meat, and LLMs are not failed humans. If you're reading the LLM output for a human voice, I think that's where we find that icky, like, ooh, it is, but it isn't. But it's computational. It's not human, and that's its strength, I think. The point is not to hide the LLM, hide the computational nature. The question is how to cook with the medium that is the LLM and create the conditions for its own strange, specific, non-human capacities to come through with our human care and intention. Okay, so I'm not going to read this passage, but if you're interested in the story, the full story is here if you want, and I can share it and other ways. But this was the second. So this was my second favorite story. My first favorite story is still being adjudicated. We don't know yet. Sorry. No, don't know yet. Okay, so I want to return. So yeah, it's not the point. Winning is not the point. It is $10,000 too. It is. We'll see. I'll let you know. But I want to return again to the meat, the tofu of the issue. So I want to return to hyperstition, to the idea that facts don't simply represent the world. They enter the world, fiction rather, sorry, not facts. Oh my God, I don't care about facts. They enter the world and begin to produce effects there. And this is where slop comes in and becomes more than an aesthetic problem. Slop is a hyperstitional force. It circulates, it repeats, it normalizes, it trains us towards the middle, towards the normative, towards the exchangeable. It teaches systems, and it teaches humans too, I think, that fine is enough, and that specificity is optional, and that everything is replaceable without consequence. So the danger of slop is not that it sucks, it's that it's world building. And the question then becomes an existential one. How do we continue to make things that matter in a world inundated by slop? And this is not to turn away from AI at all, but understanding and employing it with deep human intentionality. So I'd like to leave you with 3 takeaways. First, I think that slop is diagnostic and we need to look at it more and understand it more. It shows us where a process has been too generic, too smooth. It reveals absence of pressure, and it tells us about the conditions of its origin. And I think we need to get serious about diagnosing it and understanding it. Second, moving authorship upstream can return us to our own human processes. So building this machine brought me back to my creative process in a really profound way, which is central to my humanity. And I do believe that we can use these systems to deepen our understanding of ourselves as human beings. I don't see the tension between us there. And finally, LLMs are not failed humans, and that is their strength. When we ask them to pass as human, they become artificial. And this is my problem with the term artificial intelligence. We are always looking at the LLM as if we're trying to see human intelligence, and it's artificial. But that's not what it is, right? we sense the human lack in them because we're looking for the human in them. But if we just sat down and with them as computational systems, and that's what they are, right? Then the real possibilities, I think, start to emerge. And the point is not to make the machine human. The point is to work with its other than human nature. And I don't think we can talk about, the binaries and all that at another time. I won't go on. Okay. But the point is that we can learn through these systems, we can learn more about ourselves. So I'd just like to leave with a small gift. All the diagrams in this presentation were created with a vibe-coded diagramming platform that I've been building. And Nessa encouraged me, I'm going to put a tutorial on it, but it's quite intuitive and easy to use, and it's super fun. And if you do make something cool, I would love you to reach out and share it with me. Thank you very much.
Please stick around. Stick around, Dr. Horst. I don't think we're done with you yet. Those are beautiful.
Thank you.
I realize you used AI to generate them, but I feel like all of us should develop like a personal style for our own.
No, I didn't use AI to generate them. I used AI to vibe code the platform that has no AI involved. But it's a little different.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I definitely used AI, yes.
Guilty.
Vibe coded, but the platform itself doesn't use AI. Yeah.
That was my favorite Vancouver AI talk in 29 months, and we've had some fucking badasses here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Experts agree coding has been solved. Hear me now, believe me later. Experts agree coding has been solved. What hasn't been solved is the qualitative stuff that we're talking about here. But we're applying the same agentic processes. Your work tree, your file folder structure looks exactly like when I'm building software. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of us, Kevin included. I kind of want to throw to you too. Is there an extra mic? Yeah.
I killed AI.
We stole those from SIGGRAPH, so it's okay. They're going to die eventually. It's the eye.
It's okay. It had no soul anyways. Yeah.
So you are agentically trying to solve creativity in some ways.
Well, can I just say something? I think that I'm not trying to solve anything. My design of that system would look entirely different than every single person's in this room. And if I sat down to do it again, it would be entirely different.
Good. Don't give away the secret yet, because Kevin spent like 6 months in Hollywood recently working with a company that's trying to develop like agentic movie writing capabilities. Take that seed,
right,
develop an anti-slop script and treatment, then use generative techniques that he's pioneering already to kind of like make, like, why does your story got to be the end? Why not have like a couple clips for a film festival come out on the other side? So like, the reason I asked you to come up here is like, I know you've been messing with this stuff, but in a different way, and almost like a whole epoch ago, 6 months ago.
Well, yeah. What I actually marveled about the structure that you showed was like, it was NDA safe, marginally close to what we were tackling,
Sorry, I didn't mean to out you.
No, you're good. No, and I want to remark on that, like, what you have looked at as like story as data is in every agentic system that's out there now, and certainly what we were messing around with and is about to be unveiled as well. So it's quite fascinating that in all of these sort of like silos of self-belief and self-development, that there is a consensus of just how the story and the agentic sort of like accoutrements and touch points on it is wildly similar, which says that like the humanity of storytelling has a very common consensus in my mind, right?
Interesting, very interesting. I would hazard that I would get fired from that job really fast because I built in, like, the stories started costing a lot of money.
Yes.
And
Not as much as a writer's room, which is what we're talking about.
no, yeah.
And if you got a sharp, seasoned writer's room, I'd fair say in the revision process that is now amplified by these sort of cheap agentic processes, that the token costs are almost as good as a mid-level crack writer's room these
But I'm
days.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Dr. Horst.
No, so I'm just thinking about so like this Anti-Slop system, the stories that it generates are all sort of within the world of this Anti-Slop thing. So it's almost like its own like genre or something like that. But then you would get tired of those, and then you'd have to build a different system pretty fast, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No, we found that for sure.
We're not going to solve it. And also, yeah. This is a big conversation.
It quickly becomes a trope machine. Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Will you guys both step up here for a sec? So now we're going to do some Q&A. William, Jordan.
Thanks, Dr. Horst. Just quickly, you were in music at one point. I'm wondering what that artistic process helped you to inform about this process. Mic in your face. Sorry. Yeah, mic in my face. Sorry.
It's like, could you use this for music as well? Or have you considered using this for lyrics or concept albums or something like that?
Well, I haven't considered that. I think that one could. One of the inspirations for this idea was what's her name? I'm forgetting her name because I don't have it written down, and there's all these people in the room, and I forget my own name when that happens. But anyways, Sally Herndon. Anyway, is that her? Yeah, she is a musician who has trained in AI on her own voice, and then you can sing. So I think the point is not. The point is looking for creative ways to use AI to do art in different ways. And I think, yes, musicians are doing this all the time. And perhaps that, I don't know composition the same that I do with writing, so I can't really speak to that, but I know there are artists out there doing like really wonderful, exciting stuff with music, for sure.
Dr. Horst, I'm in the back of the room here with Wayne.
Hey, Dr. Horston.
Hi.
Sorry, everybody in this room is probably much smarter than me, but I'm still trying to wonder about, like, I feel like you kind of showed us the answer, but I want to see the work in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like, how did you come up with the idea of like, oh, this is the problem I want to solve?
Where does he start?
Where does one start with?
Well, yeah.
What did you decide to do? Like, oh, okay, here, and what AI or what LLM you're going to use?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it started with write me a sentence with Windows, and the LLM being like, like, I don't understand. And I was like, oh, yay, I'm going to make this system. I'm going to join this contest. I'm going to do this thing. And when I sat down to do it, I realized, oh, I have to articulate what I mean by, like, so then I thought, okay, what do I start with? Well, I will often, like, it's not like I'm anyway, but when I go write a story, I look at things in the world. I go look at pictures. I think about people. I look at, I take notes. And that's how, and I think about theory. And that's why I started with the character agent and a theory agent, because I wanted to start with character, and I wanted to start with a juicy, real thing that technology does to complicate human experience. And so that's where I started. But you would start somewhere completely different.
Even like the step before that, where did you start? So like you sat down in front of your computer and you opened your web browser and you went to ChatGPT?
Oh, I used Claude Code, and I used the $280 to buy tokens. And then I worked with Claude, the chat interface, and we talked and talked and talked and talked. And
talk through your fingers or talk through the voice recording?
I like to talk through my fingers, yeah.
I hate talking through my fingers.
Yeah, I prefer it, but I find, and the voices of these things are not good yet. ChatGPT's voice is so terrible.
You don't listen to its voice back. You don't put it in voice mode.
Okay.
You just record your voice because your fingers are a filter between your head and your heart and imbuing yourself into these systems.
Anyways, yeah, but I think there's a lot of different ways to go about it, but that's how. And part of what got me there was I was also trying to think about my academic writing process, and so I had already been building a knowledge infrastructure of research and literature notes and different ways to and write academic papers. So I was already in that space.
Just to literally follow up.
Yeah. I would talk to, there's a lot of talking through my fingers.
You didn't get to it with your finished ideas. You developed your ideas in relationship through
yes,
communication.
but I wrote the instructions. So when we got down to it, I was like, okay, well, I need a character agent, and it needs to be able to do this. And I don't want to give it too much information because that messes things up too. So I needed to think about what were the essential pieces, what I wanted that agent to pay attention to. And this is a really fun thing because you have to decompose your creative process and think about where to point your attention. It's just really cool. It's a cool, like, I encourage you to just take how do I brush my teeth? And like decompose it into an automation. And you're like, oh my God, I think about God when I'm brushing my teeth. Like whatever, you didn't know.
Yes.
You didn't know how deep the process was until you tried to make it.
So the matter that came up for me during your talk is you cannot automate. It was when you were asking questions. It's like, you can't automate a process you don't understand.
Yeah.
And that's how we get slop, is you're like, yo, write me a fucking story.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't know how to write a story or what a story is to you, then you definitely cannot automate that into a pipeline.
You have to have...
First step of automation is to sit there and
That's
break
right.
down the brushing your teeth into all of its constituent components such that you can relate that to a machine.
That's right. So in order to automate something, you have to have a theory of that thing. And this is what I understood that I didn't have a theory of creative process. That's where you get slop. Creative process. It's like everything. It's nothing. It means nothing. A creative process for this moment, for this story, for this
Thank
thing.
God. I was hoping you would have a question. This is Kush. You never know what he might say.
No, I appreciated your talk very much. First of all, let me just say, really, really appreciated the AI slop, let's interrogate it part, because
Cool.
I feel like any effort to understand why it is that it makes us feel that way is like self-knowledge or self-learning.
Yes.
I appreciate that so much,
Thanks.
and I'm going to investigate your project more.
Wonderful.
So with that's the slop part. The other side is like, I guess I'm wondering, to sort of echo what Chris was just saying. I feel like when people are using AI these days and they find it to be competent in anything at all, whether it's engineering, whether it's writing, whether it's image generation, I find more often than not, maybe this sounds cynical, it's coming from a place of not knowing what the fuck is going on. And it's like, oh my God, it's maybe the best software ever. Are you a person who cares about software? Oh, you don't? You're enjoying this? Great. Yeah, because you have no taste and you have no interest.
Yes.
And so you're very happy with the output, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
similarly, I feel like when it comes to writing or when it comes to anything,
You have to have a knowledge of that
you
thing.
have knowledge, but fuck knowledge. Like, if you don't care to do the thing, what the fuck do you care? Like,
Yes.
we should frankly look down and shame. Like, we should be like, yeah, fuck you for writing when you don't give a fuck about writing, right?
Yes.
Fuck you for building
But
software.
I want to pull back a little bit.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I feel like I wonder what your thoughts are about like people just doing it for the money, for the something. And so it's not like don't do it for the love of it, but don't do it for the money of it. Don't do it for the connotation of it. You know what I'm saying?
I just think I hear you. I agree, and I get angry too, but I do think that we have too much shame right now around AI, and I want to not dig into that. We don't know what people are doing with their AIs. You know, it's like we don't know, and and it could. So we like I'm a teacher, okay, and there are teachers out there who are like, these students are just handing in stuff. They don't care about anything. It's all AI slop, and actually they're working and they're figuring stuff out, and it has an AI sheen, but they brought their thoughts to it, and so it's not my job to divine their intention, right? And I want to be really careful about that because we are in this transition period. And there is so much shame and anger about AI use. So I don't like. So I don't want to get. But I hear you and I agree because people will say like I'm just thinking of this picture in my mind. You know what's that Ethan Malus,
Yeah.
the guy. He's wonderful. But I don't know if you watch him, follow him on LinkedIn. He posted this thing, and it was like all these famous paintings in like designer dresses, and then it was in, so they were wearing the famous painting, and then it was in a dessert, right? And they were beautiful. But then I was like, yeah, but like, would a designer think so? Would a fashion designer think that dress was like, and all the women, and then, you take one look and you're like, but it's that slop thing, right? Like if you don't care about fashion, it just looks like fashion. It looks like fashion. Right? Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
yes.
That's all of this, and that's why I'm curious.
Yes.
Why are you doing it? If you don't care about things.
Right. But why are they doing it? They're like, I can do fashion. Yes. But maybe it will bring you into care. So that's the other thing.
That's right,
So as you build one thing and you're like, oh, I love that. Now you want to build something else, and now all of a sudden you're designing a dress, right? And then we also know that there was we've talked about the AI delusions and stuff, and how could you ever think that you were that smart? You didn't go to university. The AI made you think you're crazy, and yet there's this guy recently who just discovered this math thing through, like, for real, because he's really smart with his AI. Like, people can
Solved one of the 100 unsolvable
right?
problems.
Yeah. So like, play. We can play. We can play with these things, and we can make slop. But learn about
Horst,
yourself
Dr.
through
Horst,
it.
I want to just get a couple more voices in.
Yeah.
I got Dr. Chevalier Philippe Pasquet from the School of Interactive Art and Technology.
Hello, everyone. Awesome talk. That was really great. I felt you were talking about meta creation, and that's not because I'm the director of the meta creation lab. But we're in this world where now we get to design the creative process.
Yeah.
And I have two questions for you.
Yeah.
Those are the classic ones, but they're the important ones.
Job interview question, because you should be working in your lab, sir.
We should work on it. The first
I'm open
question
for
is, through meta creation, did you find that what you implemented with those machines is a creative process you would have done yourself? And the second question, do you think it would have been different if instead of agents, you would have a team of humans to implement that exact process?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Totally different if I was doing it myself. 100%. I read the synopsis to my husband the other night, and he's like, you didn't write that. I was like, I know I didn't write that. Like, I could never have written that. So yeah, 100% totally different, working with the LLM. And I had to speak in a way that it's not my, like, I like to be, complicated, and I had to be very, articulate and straightforward about my instructions. So, but that taught me something, and I don't think I would continue writing like, agents everywhere, but it taught me something about my creative process. And then your point about the humans, I developed a game based on this.
Is your meta creation process the same as your creation process?
Oh, totally different, because I don't break down my creative process in those ways. The horse runs.
Because you've never needed to automate it before.
Yeah. I'll just run. I'll continue being a messy human, but return to myself in a different way. And I think that if I'm editing, or if I'm stuck, or if I might bring my LLM nature into it, maybe, But yeah, I'm still human.
I got one more quick one from Finn down here.
Yes, thank you for your talk. And I just wanted to mention, because we saw a kind of alternative version of this last week in the education group, and got a chance to do that story-making game.
That's what I was going to say to Patrick.
And I wanted to mention that because I hope you carry on developing that, because that game is fantastic, because it gives everyone an insight into what the AI is doing as it's adding those layers of slop onto the creation.
Yeah, that's right. So I developed a game because of this. I developed a card game where you build an analog LLM with human beings, and the human beings are the agents, and you write something together. Sorry, and it's really interesting. It's fun. Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Fucking A. Thanks, Dr. Rachel Horst. Yeah. Can I give you a hug? Thank you. She lives on the Sunshine Coast. She came down and test drove that talk at our AI and education meetup last week. Thank you so much to like a group of like 20 people. Thank you. Lives on the Sunshine Coast. So it's come down twice in the last week to participate in this, develop her ideas, share them. Thank you so much. And hey, Nessa, would you take a quick scoot up here real quick? I just want to show your face in public real quick. This is Nessa. She's shy, but she's been... right up here in the spotlight. She's been helping to co-organize the AI in education subgroup at Ethos Labs, which has now happened like 7 times. So I just want to say thank you in front of everybody. You want to say what we're up to at the AI in education subgroup?
I will just say it's super cool because everyone's voice is heard, I think. And we have students, we have parents, we have teachers, we have just community members, developers. So please come and check it out if you haven't. And Chris serves up some really good food.
Thank you. What I heard her say when she said everyone's voices are heard is like, this is like a stage to an audience type of a situation, but these same conversations are happening in all these different groups that we have, including the education group, the life sciences group. Where's Simon? You got your poem on the handy? Come on up, sir. Let's hear from Simon from the life sciences group. An artist in fat cat's clothing.
Thank you so much for that. Life sciences. So this is a serious topic. And we have a really interesting group. And one of the reasons it's taken so long to get this going is the diversity of the group is ridiculous. We have doctors on the one end who are being challenged every day by patients self-diagnosing with AI. We've got folk like me creating new drugs by analyzing molecular data. We've got venture capitalists who, the time horizon of a 10-year closed-ended fund, really, it just means nothing in this environment. We've got data folks, we've got AI folks. And the great thing about the community, it's got 2 real outputs we're trying to do. One is literally to make connections between those people, because the diversity of that group offers itself up to connections. But secondly, we've got a global and a local objective. So the global objective is to promote this weird connected community globally so that we can actually be part of the same crew as Cambridge and San Francisco and Boston and Zurich and Shanghai. And that's an active thing. So all these groups are all different. The second thing is local. So we're trying to focus on what can we do with AI actually locally and make a difference. So it's a very active kind of group of folks around the table. And then there's me. And my style sometimes is, with my children, they'll tell you, you know, if the birthday's coming up, they dread the poem from Dad. And my 15-year-old always says, I showed her this piece of work, and she said, your rhymes are terrible. So I was quite proud of that. So global and local. So this is a 5-stanza call and response poem. So you guys are part of this. So we've done this before. Where's Penfather? We've done this before with. There's an AI for that, right? We've done. You know, you guys are skilled in this thing. So let's just do a quick practice before we start. So if I say, chatting to my friends, with the hours flying by, we never get bored when we talk about AI. Okay, so at this rate, you're going to be a lot better than the people we had when I did this the other night, okay? Okay, so what I need is enthusiasm. This is life sciences AI, this is serious stuff, okay? Hold on, it's gone too small, I can't read it. I'll tell you what. Yeah. Why on earth's it blurred? Hold on. I've got a picture here which is, oh, that's the,
I wish your family
Emily was here to laugh at you right
It's
now.
a whole different...
They would tell you not to do your poetry in public, Simon, and this is what might happen.
And I would ignore them. So here we go. So 5 standards. Are you ready? Right. At last, and boy, it took us a long time. At last, we have a life science meetup. Now, we all know why. It's because we see the market heat up, driven by data security concerns. The evening was the first time that a group like this could link, each a different slice of this new pie. Personal perspectives, sharing everything we think. Do we really like this new creative plagiarism? We know our needs more clearly and we state them with a sigh. We need some new technology, and most of all, we need more effective regulation. Technology is power for which community can vie, delivered to us all by our beloved American technology giants. Look, guys, I've got one more stanza here. And you've not done very well so far. Let's just try a little this time, okay? If my phone will let me. Okay, so last time, this is your last chance. For some, the future glistens, whilst for others, end is nigh. But let's all make the best of it and use AI to destroy the pharmaceutical industry as we know it.
Simon Hayworth, CEO of Intellomics, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyone wants to come along and take life sciences seriously, we have another event on Tuesday. There will be casserole, there will be discussion, and I'm afraid there will be some creativity.
I'm trying to give a talk all night long about the BC AI ecosystem and how our membership has grown and how our groups have grown, but you guys are just like pretty much like doing a better job of painting the picture than I ever could. So like Life Sciences Meetup at his home in the British properties with his wife and father-in-law, with doctors and like there was people from the health authorities there. There was people from the major funding agencies there. Do yourself a favor and get yourself invited to Simon's house for the Life Sciences Meetup dinner. It's inclusive like everything is, but it's at his home, so you just got to talk to him and stuff. But thank you for being here.
Come along.
Yeah.
Come along.
Simon also sponsors this event monthly, so thank you for that. I don't actually know if it's a sponsorship because I think I just do like AI coaching and development for you or whatever. So I think you're actually just hiring me and I pay the nonprofit. Yeah, I know. My model? Come back. Let's talk about that.
So we built this amazing model. The AI knows all my 160 Fireflies meetings from the last period. It knows all my email from the last 10 years. It goes everything I've written, da-da-da-da-da. And we put all this stuff together to think about targeting pharmaceutical guys who are doing drug discovery, right? And I asked this thing questions, and what does it say?
So you're talking about the custom GPT that we made for...
It says, pharmaceutical companies are very interested in marketing knowledge about their competitors. What the hell has that got to do with me? Because we hadn't constrained it to fix on what's happening with intelligent omics and what we do in drug discovery. So it spent hours doing this and created a marketing plan and everything. And we shall adjust it.
I'm sorry to have you guys watch the sausage being ground, but what I'm learning here is that like your next class needs to be about prompting because you have the system at your fingertips. In fact, I was going to tell you, so I've set up a bunch of Claude Code automations on this thing that we built for Simon, which takes his top 10 companies, looks at the top 10 job titles in those companies he's looking for, and says where they're going to be at conferences, presenting papers, so he can fly there.
It's my personal stalker.
Yeah. So it's been a week since we did our session, so I got the automation notification today, and so I ran it. And I think you're going to be very intrigued at the report or whatever. Cool. So like we built him a bunch of things, a GPT, a knowledge base, and this whole fucking surveillance system kind of for your for your industry. So
no, Interlomic Stalker is a really effective piece of work. But all I can say to you is populate your systems with your own information, whether it's thousands of photographs or thousands of meetings, and it works.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your poetry. Thank you for opening up your home and for collaborating with me on this whole life sciences meetup thing, man. I'm really stoked about it. Are we having fun? Are we enjoying ourselves? We got one talk left, and I'm very, very excited about it. And then we got some announcements and riff-raff stuff at the end, too, that I hope you stick around for. And then we got Eliza and Noah's cookies, and the bar's going to be open again. We're here till 10:30 tonight if you like. There's a cooler right in the back. The bartender's sitting on a cooler. Collecting myself for a second. Dr. Horst, that was so cool that you mentioned the story of the archivist earlier, because our next speaker is a huge nerd. A librarian, an archivist, a data person, and we were just sitting there smirking at each other when Dr. Horst gave her talk and told that story. It was pretty prescient, I thought, in some ways, about the things we've been talking about lately and stuff. How many of you guys know what the Internet Archive is? I'm gonna say like a third maybe. So I started an online magazine in 1998 called Spark Online, and we were exploring electronic consciousness, which might not be that shocking because here we are today or whatever, right? But after 5 years of publishing this thing, that was my first like entree into the whole internet world, and really put me in first order relationships with a lot of the people that were building the internet at the time. It went away. Our host went away, and it went away, and sometimes, a decade passed, and sometimes I was wondering if that was like a figment of my imagination that time, like, did that really even happen? What did I write? What was all those comments on that stuff, and I can go there now, though, in the Wayback Machine that's maintained by the Internet Archive. So the Internet Archive is this huge library of the internet. They take snapshots of the whole internet since the beginning of time. You can go back there. They're about preserving the historical record and about open data, open access to data. Andrea Mills is from Toronto. She also has a Internet Archive Canada HQ here in Vancouver at a place called The Permanent, where Erica and Philippe and I are going to be putting on some events later this year. They've been making a big investment in Vancouver. Andrea brings Brewster Keel into our world. Who here knows what Brewster Keel? Brewster's the founder of the Internet Archive and a huge philanthropist, a tech granddaddy, and a very important person who also spends time in Vancouver. Andrea brings him around. He's interested in making connections here in Vancouver. A lot of us here go to his events. Tangle, are you still here? Yep. Thanks for coming, bro. Tangle runs an organization called Decentral, another decentralized web community here focused around open source and crypto in Vancouver. Did you come to see Andrea talk? I think a bunch of people did, actually. So without further ado, thank you so much for coming. And I can't wait I'm going to be right there in the front row, hanging on your every word. Andrea Mills, Internet Archive. The photographer requested that we stay in the front part. No, actually in the front of it. The X is kind of in the wrong place. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Chris.
But I'll give you back a really nice video if you do that.
Okay. Sounds like a good deal. Well, thank you so much. And it's wonderful to see everyone. I always have a great time when I come. I feel like I'm here on the right night. Rachel and I are going to be friends because I really do think that story is maybe me in a few years. But the other thing I'm going to say at the outset is I have this really sort of chaotic habit of getting into deep conversations at events. So if you see me later, if I say anything you're interested in and you see me like really getting into a deep conversation with someone, just join us, push them aside. Tell me that, Andrea, you have to circulate. I want to talk to as many people as possible. Anyway, so tonight I am going to talk about the Internet Archive, our work over the last many decades, and touch on public AI and sort of all of the things that are top of mind at the moment. To tell the story, I think I have to go back probably about 30 years. Thinking about AI is a very forward-thinking idea. We're talking about the future, but my story goes back in time. So we'll go ahead, one slide, please. It's my favorite thing, showing pictures of myself. This is me in my natural habitat, and I am the executive director of Internet Archive Canada. Some of you might not know that Internet Archive Canada is a thing. It is a thing. Thank you so much. And as Chris said, we are a digital nonprofit library. Archive.org for those that maybe, if you don't know that address, get to know it. And if you do know very much about Internet Archive, I hope you learned something, at least one new thing tonight. So go ahead, one, please. So what is the Internet Archive? As Chris said, Brewster Kahle founded the Internet Archive in 1996. And, sometimes people ask me, why is it called the Internet Archive when you have all kinds of different things? It's because we started archiving the web. So why is it important? Internet Archive and, Brewster came upon at a really sort of critical time in the birth of the internet and in web publishing and in personal publishing in particular. And that was what Brewster was working on at that time. And that moment really mattered for the formation of the Internet Archive. Because for the first time, you could publish online. You didn't have to be a publisher. You didn't have to be a big institution. We weren't controlling what was on the early web. It was distributed. Anyone could publish, but there was a problem. Libraries saved things, but the internet was ephemeral, so there was a trade-off happening. We decentralized creation without necessarily solving for preservation. So next slide, please. So we've heard the W word already. So we're most known for the Wayback Machine, which came along in 2001, and soon after that, its friend Archive It, which is the subscription-based service for archiving the web. We experience the internet as this permanent thing. At least I do. It's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, and use it all day long. Some days I do get tired of the internet. It is possible. We experience it as this permanent thing, but it's actually very ephemeral and designed to be changeable. And that's was the intention when the internet was created. So at the moment, within a few years, about 25% of any link that's saved online is moved or it's taken offline and it's not there anymore. This is not a failure. This is the normal operation of the internet. So next slide, please. During those Web 1.0 years, as they call them, the promise of the internet came to be. If you had an internet connection, you could find local news, historical information, even things that had been antiquities that had been digitized and would be available online. This sort of barrier-free publishing and access, dissemination, really changed the game. It was the birth of our mantra, as you might say, for all of the Internet Archives. Universal access to all knowledge. It's on our T-shirts. It's over the door. As I said, the web is still designed for speed and iteration and fastness, but not for memory. Libraries, on the other hand, are built for remembering and designed for memory. So we'll go ahead, one slide, please. some people may not realize, the Internet Archive is a library. It comes from a library tradition, even though we're known as a technology organization. And this practice of libraries is not a new thing. Libraries have existed for centuries. Sometimes they haven't been public, but they're cared for by professionals that care about the historical record. They care about memory, and making sure that things are curated and taken care of for the next generation. The Wayback Machine is our most visible and known interface, but for over the last 30 years or so, the Internet Archive has grown in breadth. So there's millions of books, audio, Grateful Dead concerts, if that's your thing, TV news, all sorts of content that has really rounded this collection that's now 200 petabytes plus. In total, so it's a big boy. I'm going to show a short video that it tickles me every time I see it. This was produced for the 25th anniversary of the Internet Archive a few years ago, and it really is a window into the beginnings and really the spirit of why we do what we do.
We have not finished the first complete crawl yet, but it's getting there. We're trying to get everything, including all of the images, everything, so you can recreate the web the way it was at any particular time. So you can dial the Wayback Machine and experience what the web looked like. You'll be able to try to use the web the way it was, or find a copy of record, or what did a particular person say at a particular time, or how can you cite a document if the documents go away every 44 days. And this is all it takes. This is a computer donated by Sun, 20 gigabytes of hard drive space that's used as a cache. So that machine in the other room gathers web pages and puts them in a 100 megabyte chunk, transfers it to this set of disks, and after they've been here for a while, they basically get transferred to tape. And that way we can cost effectively store the whole net, which is estimated between 1 and 10 terabytes.
And growing at what rate?
We don't know. We don't know. There's estimates that it's doubling every 7 months, but frankly, we just don't know.
The Wayback Machine was just a glimmer in our eye in 1996. It didn't come out until 2001. So the idea of making the Wayback Machine a big cooperative effort among all these national libraries, universities, that's been one of the great discoveries or evolutions of the Internet Archive.
That's the end. Cool. Let's go ahead, please. Cool. So, love that video. I've been in a really sort of reflective mood lately for a few different reasons. This month marks 20 years that I have been with the Internet Archive, which is really weird that they would let a 9-year-old have a job like that. So that's really crazy. I don't know how many times I've turned 29. Anyway, also, the Internet Archive is celebrating 30 years of archiving the web. Internet Archive Canada is also 20 years. And on top of that, there are these sort of retrospective projects looking at mass digitization projects in Canada that are now 25 years old. We're writing things down before we all forget. But it's all looking back at history and successes of these big collaborative projects, which is really great. But I'm that chaotic person that is that wanting to talk about, well, what did we do that didn't work, and what would we do differently if we had a chance to do it again? So I think it's really kind of an interesting, there's synergy between what's happening now with some of the AI projects and some of these digitization projects that happened that we're looking back to. So next slide, please. Public AI. If you look at you Google public AI, it's, in some cases, it's hard to figure out what the heck it means. Is it a for-profit company that does marketing, or is it actually a public infrastructure? But the public infrastructure type of public AI really speaks to me as someone who's been working in the nonprofit sector for such a long time. Shared public infrastructure with, sharing resources, expertise, funding. These have been successes in my world that, is I think the way forward here. It really is more of a Web 1.0 thing before monetization sort of ruined things. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about how did I get into doing this work, which is sort of funny because of Rachel's talk. So as a teenager, I started in my local public library, using the dog pile to file reference requests and, letting kids use Leisure Suit Larry on the computers. Before anyone figured out what the heck that game was, and maybe we shouldn't let kids use it. Anyway, and then a few years later, I was a new grad, and I needed a job, and it was 2006, and so of course, what do? You go to Craigslist, you check missed connections, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to go look at the nonprofit jobs, and I see an ad. Do you like computers? Do you like books? Yes, I do. And it was the Internet Archive. It's in the Wayback Machine. I found it recently. Next slide, please. So this is the archived version of me that lives in the headquarters in San Francisco. We can talk about that later once I have a glass of wine. But I'll pop this up while I talk about, 20 years ago was another disruptive time in technology, in information. The librarians and the technologists and the computer scientists were in different buildings on the campus. Maybe they crossed over a little bit, but there, it wasn't such thing as a digital librarian, digitization librarian. These nerds had not been born yet. So, the technologists were saying it's going to take us 18 months. We're going to digitize every book that we have. We're going to be done. And the rare books librarians were concerned about the physical books, the provenance, the metadata, all these sorts of things. And it turns out 20 years later, 20 plus years later, workflows can scale for efficiency and speed and cost. And we could describe these things and figure out, where they were on the shelves and keep them in context. So I'm having flashbacks at the moment to those years because we're in that sort of move fast and break things era of AI that it's like I've lived this life before, if that makes sense. Next slide, please. So in Canada, our Internet Archive project grew from digitization. It's now grown around the world. We've digitized millions of books, and all of that's been done in partnership. There's governments, big libraries, volunteers, people, partners, a long list of institutions, and the collaboration has been key to building those collections. Next slide, please. It's a nice acute capture from 2005. You get vintage Internet Archive here. I put it up just to show we had digitized 2,500 books. We were so excited. We were like, we got this. They were a hard one at the beginning, let me tell you. But I put this up just to talk about the physical collections. So we now have digitized millions of books. Digitization or creating data sets, as another way to say it, it didn't replace the need for physical books, and I don't think it will. It's really depending on them. So they're providing authenticity. The originals also turned out to matter. In terms of context, what was beside that book on the shelf? What did the librarian collect and save? And if we're talking about the web archive, what websites linked out from a certain site? If anyone remembers what a web ring is, those things matter in our collections. Next slide, please. I'm gonna just keep a little short stop on preservation, which again in the AI era is one of the things that keeps me up at night. I sometimes do a slide of like, these are all the things that keeps the librarian from sleeping at night, and it's like blight, flood, fire, all of those things. Preservation is also one of those things. we have had projects that have lost digital assets over the years. I mean, maybe not the Internet Archive, but it's one of those things that we do need to consider. A cloud is just someone else's computer, and you better really, really trust that person that you are where you're putting your digital assets. The locks method of preservation for the Internet Archive has been truly successful, and it's now around the world. We have Internet Archive Canada that has a good chunk of the global Internet Archive. We have Internet Archive Europe and Switzerland, UK coming online. So the Internet Archives are they're migrating. Yeah. Next slide, please. Woohoo. In 2022, ChatGPT is released. Midjourney takes off. I don't have to explain to this room. It really changed the game, and it changed the game for the Internet Archive in an important way as well. We'd been preserving the web for 25 years as it was, and really anything after that is sort of like, BC and AD sort of thing. Next slide, please. Last fall, love this monolith, we celebrated 1 trillion web pages in the Wayback Machine, which is a lot of web pages. It's hard to even visualize what a trillion is. So this is the intellectual output of thousands of people, maybe millions of people. And over the years, the Internet Archive has managed to keep those collections open, whether you're a researcher, you're curious, even people needing big data sets, we were able to accommodate. Next slide, please. This is my favorite thing. This is the self-portrait that ChatGPT did of itself in the early days, at least according to Wikipedia. As AI tools became available to the general public, it really did change the web. And open archives like the Internet Archive and others are just getting scraped like crazy. And in terms of functionality, it's a DDoS attack by another name. We're just really, the ravenous appetite of AI is a real thing. And some archives don't have the resources or the be able to bolster the defenses like we have been able to. Next slide, please. The other thing about the Internet Archive is that we don't have the concept of done. So this is an almost 19-year-old book that we were recently working on because we go back and rederive, redescribe. We've used machine learning and AI tools as they've come online. But one of the things that has done is made things more findable, which again is another connection to what Rachel was saying earlier. There's things that all of a sudden, they're 20 years old, they've been on the Internet Archive, and now it's really easy to find them. Next slide, please. I asked ChatGPT to make me a few cute slides. This is one I asked it to make. I'm like, this is content extraction. You're digitizing books and they're just like getting shredded immediately after they're digitized. So this commercial AI has created this data boom. You not only want all the new and fresh data that you can get your hands on, you want unique data. You don't want someone else to have it. It's sort of that, it's not only that you want to win, that others must lose. That's sort of the vibe that we're feeling right now. And in some cases, I have stories, again, for cocktail hour. Libraries and archives that have digitized these things, they've been online for years, and all of a sudden a publisher has an exclusive deal with an AI company, and you have to take it down. And then in some of those cases, the publisher doesn't even have a copy of the original. It was in the library. They took care of it, and now the digitized thing is being taken down. So from my perspective, we've been here before. There was Google Books that was free digitization to many libraries, academic libraries around the world, locked those things up with contracts, or everyone's favorite Ancestry. I'm of a certain age that I do genealogy now, so I'm not gonna throw shade. But if you need that newspaper clipping of your grandparents getting married, it's on newspapers.com, and you can't read it unless you pay the ransom. So those contracts and projects have really been, in my experience, reformatted for the AI age, right? We're digitizing again. That shredder machine has been turned back on, and it worries me. Next slide. So there's some threats to the Internet Archive that you may have heard of. So USA Today, everyone's favorite newspaper. I think I've only ever read it in a hotel, maybe a motel, something like that. Anyway, a current example that's happening at the moment. USA Today recently published a pretty in-depth investigation, so I shouldn't totally knock them, about ICE activities that heavily use the Wayback Machine. And next slide, please. But hold up, record skip noise. They've joined a group that of many news outlets now that have asked to be taken out of the Wayback Machine and to not be crawled. So it's sort of high irony. The idea being, or the claim, which does have some fact to it, is that AI companies, as the web is being crawled in this moment that we're in, that things in the Wayback Machine have been taken wholesale. We have done some things to bolster our defenses, as I said, and I don't think we can say that we haven't tried, and it doesn't mean that we should not be able to, or that we shouldn't be preserving the web going forward. It's still very, very important. So next slide, please. So this is another fun article that I really love. I love when books get destroyed. It's as a library person, it's pretty wild. So this may have come across your desk. Some of the early copyright cases against some of the big companies found that destroying books after you digitize them is like the legally safer way to go about it. But sort of what are we doing when you see something like that? We really sort of have to think about our choices. And to me, that's like, slow down and let's talk about what we're doing. Next slide, please. This is the other cool one that I got ChatGPT to make me, which I thought was like actually kind of a subversive thing to do. I was like, make me an image of what AI slop looks like. And this is the picture that it gave me. Pretty good. So it's really not only, AI companies are not consuming our archive only and other public archives, but they want to put a copyright symbol on it, which actually really gets me going. But it also has facilitated, like as we've heard tonight, the generation of AI like slop on the internet, which is certainly problematic, but my controversial idea is it should also be archived in some capacity. People are making life decisions based on some of this content, and so it shouldn't be excluded. I mean, I get into these conversations, excluded from some public archives because we know that it's not, like this guy right here, it's not high quality, but it is our current moment that we're living in that we need to capture in this fast-moving period. Next slide, please. So, keeping it public. In my Venn diagram, as I said, I've been thinking about these things recently. There is a lot of overlap between, let's say, the last 30 years of activities of the Internet Archive and our web archiving and digitization work, and what's happening now with public AI and some of the relationships and rules of engagement in terms of these big collaborative projects that I think we should use to our advantage. Sharing ideas, sharing sometimes funding. I have a whole sandwich and you have no sandwich. I should give you half of my sandwich. That kind of thing. And I think it will take longer, of course. It might be slower to get off the ground, but it'll definitely be worthwhile. And do we really trust a corporation with our collective data more than we trust a nonprofit or public utility? No. So, okay, that was okay. Next slide, please. So we're trying to do some fun things. Like, as I said before, how do you visualize a trillion? How do you explain to your mom that you've been doing web archiving for 20 years? And like, how do you show her what that is? So there's my mom knows what I do, but so there's a cool project of Internet Archive Europe, Internet Archive Switzerland, that's landed here in Vancouver. That so you all have homework to go and visit the library. So it's a really novel way to experience the .ca web archive. So it's downtown at the central branch at the Vancouver Public Library, and you can see there's a big screen and a cool game pad with a microphone. You hit the button. There's no keyboard, so if you're tired of typing, you're good. And you can keyword search, and it's semantically organized by subject. And I've played around with it at the library, and of course, someone finds something really interesting, or like their exact website, or something that will give you a giggle. So check it out. It's on the 4th floor of the library from the end of this week. And last but not least, one more slide. I've been thinking about, yes, how can we as public institutions further public AI and the use of public data? I want to listen to users. I want feedback. I want to know, are we supporting people that want to use the data in the Internet Archive? So we're going to be working this summer along with Chris and the AI community for what we're calling, this is the beta title, AI Builders Fellowship, that you're going to hear more about at subsequent events, which I'm really looking forward to that conversation and more news on that soon. So thank you so much for listening to me. I know we were a little bit later than normal, but thank you so much.
I love the working title. Andrea, come here for a second. You're so Canadian. So what you're telling me is you archived all these publication shit for a bunch of years. They lost their copy. Then they did a deal with an AI company to slurp up and train on their data. And then they had to get it from you. They gave it to them and they told you to delete it.
Well, I mean, that might have been like a archetype of a few different examples, but essentially, yes. I'm going to say yes.
Okay, I do have...
Both of those things have happened, yes.
I combined 2 stories. All right, very good.
I think I combined 2 stories, yeah.
Kemp and then Matthew. I think community... Hey, Kemp, let me get you the mic so that we get this on the permanent record.
All about the permanent record.
I think community news is really important, and I know, especially around these parts, they've been shutting down in the last few years. I guess my first question is, what kinds of things are happening to make sure that stays online? Because I think you guys are kind of the only place that it might or would.
Yeah.
And then secondarily, to Chris's point, like, do people come with legal means to get things taken down for whatever reason? Tell us a little bit more.
So people definitely come to us if there's a site that is going down. Local news is a popular one that we hear about. So, info@archive.org if you hear of anything that's going down. And we have a team of it's sort of like the A team that like beams in, and we if we know something is going down. And in terms of takedowns, I think we as a library we follow the copyright law. So if someone is a rights holder and they write to us and say, I don't want my thing as part of the archive, we have a process that we go through and we honor takedown requests. Yeah, we want to keep the lights on. Yeah.
Martin, Finn, Gordon, Kush, I want you guys to pay attention. She kind of slid something in there. Internet Archive and BCAI are doing a summer fellowship for like a data scientist, AI engineer, machine learning person to build tools or data storytelling, visualizations, dashboards, cool, useful, functional stuff on top of their archive. So you want to tell us a little bit more about your vision for that? And you look back at a year after it happened and that cool summer project, what did it do?
I think it's in the same category as the web display at the library. I want people to know what's in the archive, and I also want to know, what the scientists and the researchers are interested in, and make something out of it. We spent so many years archiving and collecting, and we always were, around the office talking about, if we build it, they will come, and people do come, but maybe we're too Canadian, and it's like you need to get through the door. I want the servers to be stressed because they're being used for stuff like that, rather than just getting scraped again. Mm-hmm.
So this is a $5,000 summer fellowship that they're going to be offering to some data person inside of our community or outside of our community. We're going to help them find the right person for that gig, but it's a research gig, it's a data visualization gig, it's a storytelling gig. Anyway, I'm really excited to see the types of stuff that gets thrown your way and what we can come up with. I mean, thank you for backing like cool creative research in the community and stuff, and it's amazing.
Well, I've been inspired by the work that everyone is doing and the conversations that I have when we're here. So
also, it's like the coolest fucking most legit data set in the whole world. Like people could be offering you a $5,000 summer internship to work on their bullshit data set, but this is the Internet Archive, did I see you waving at me? Is there anyone else waving at me? Okay, Kush.
Thank you. Hey, Andrea. Appreciate the beautiful history sort of lesson about the Internet Archive, and it was very funny to see Brewster. In some ways, I was like, "Wow, he looks so young," and in other ways, I was like,
"He might still have that shirt." Actually,
he does look in some ways very similar as well. So I think I've asked you something like this before, perhaps many months ago, but I'm curious to get your take because I didn't.
I'm ready. I can handle it.
Oh shit! I'm supposed to be nice. Okay. Let me rethink this. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna rethink shit. So I feel like it's so beautiful that Internet Archive has been able to gather all of this information over all this. Somehow they got the mandate, right? Somehow they were able to hold on to this, right? And you talked about keeping the lights on, and yet somehow I find myself just being so upset every time I find out that to keep the lights on is really some kind of euphemism, if you will, for making insane compromises for insane requests, right? And I'm sure you're upset about it more than anyone because you're actually in the middle of it. I'm an outsider, right? But the idea of this sort of erased, made-up subset of history that remains after everyone who has any stake in it has gotten all the bites out of it, and that somehow being perceived by most of the public as being the actual archive is just so offensive to me, because that's like not an actual archive. That's like the truth they want you to know to be the truth, while all the actual truth has gone away. So I feel like to keep an actual archive means to fight copyright, means to actually fight against every single lawsuit, and it does mean basically you go bankrupt. But really, what it means to me, what it really means to me, is that you cannot have an institution that is genuinely public in that so non-profit way. It has to be decentralized. It has to be something that is underground in some ways, or something that it cannot really be challenged by some authority. If you're a freelancer, you can't really be fired, kind of thing. Like you have to somehow be unfireable to be able to do something like this. And so I feel like that's what I want to hear is at what point will Internet Archive go, you know what, we're done with compromises and we're now going decentralized, and you will never be able to delete a single fucking thing in your life because we are archiving this, and copyright can go fuck themselves. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't disagree with really much of what you're saying.
That, Kush? You've been talking about it for
because they will fucking kill me, bro. They will kill her.
But So I do want to say, as someone who's been working in archives for a long time, there's a difference between preservation and access, right? There's like the Leonard Cohen papers that are at the University of Toronto, and there's one box that they can't open until, whatever date, which is an archival practice, right? So what calms me down, and, I do get mad. You may not think, but bad words do come out of my mouth when these things do happen. So there is that concept. There's a difference between preservation and access. We are decentralizing the archive. We're just maybe not There's no banner. There's no banner outside where the geographically distributed locations of the archive are. So we're doing it in maybe different ways. That's what I'll say. I'm being weird about it. Yeah.
I think it's a valid critique, but what I'm trying to say is I think it's an opportunity. Like, they're doing great work, and I think you're right too. And so why not take it to the next level?
So can I if I may engage? Thank you.
You fired it off at me so quick earlier. I didn't understand.
And I appreciate that. So I will tell you, and this I'm going to be very vulnerable, honest, or whatever here. I feel that my action space is limited by how much sacrifice I'm willing to make, right? And I mean, just to be real, I feel like there is certain amount that I sacrifice that I make in terms of my dealings with people, and then there is plenty that I'm unwilling to make. For example, when I look at Aaron Schwartz, and I invoked him last year, this exact month, and his sacrifice was immense. And he was really hounded for the MIT JSTOR archive dump, which was, by the way, rate limited, not actually but private. He just went over the limits, and if you look at the story, he did not do anything criminal, but they basically made him feel like he was going to die, and so he killed himself. When you look at that kind of thing, I think the kind of guy that I am, if I was to do something that truly challenged something, I would eventually get to exactly the kind of position where I would get into my head, and it would be like, feel like the world is over. And so to answer your question, why don't you just do it? Why don't you just fight capitalism? Why don't you just fight the Western Empire?
No, but
why don't you just find,
in her way, and I am in my way, and so you've seen your own way.
But that's what I'm saying. I think this is, I think we discussed as well, to have that purist critique, to have that critique of like, well, you're not doing it the actual perfect way, is in some ways like, say, also acknowledging that maybe it's very, very so hard that even I'm unwilling to do that. That doesn't mean you're wrong. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. But I'm saying that it is not the thing, right? It is a facsimile of the thing. And to acknowledge that is the first step. At the very least, we always have to be clear of that this is not the archive. This is a archive. You know what I'm saying?
Of the important work that is being done. It is too dismissive. There is still important work being done, even if it's not the whole, the purest end state or whatever. So to call it a facsimile of the thing is to be too
fair enough. Fair enough. And I am very disrespectful for sure, no doubt about it. Yeah.
And that's why we love you, Kush.
But these conversations we have all the time. So the way that you feel is how we feel.
I'm very happy to hear that inside the rooms this is happening.
Yeah.
Question from Max over here.
Thank you, guys. My name is Max McDonough. I'm a student at Emily Carr University for UX UI. I'm really excited to hear about the program, Andrea. But I had two questions from the very beginning. Today I read about Google moving fully, their whole search engine, I think is June 26 onwards, is going to be fully AI, eliminating everything that was essentially true in the past, which opens up a big space for you guys. And the question's kind of twofold. Has everyone heard of this? And secondary is there any way to kind of capitalize on this using all the data that you've amassed over the years to create a new trusted, ethical, AI conscious, but not AI forward search engine? So that's the first one. And I think
it's a very good idea. And I mean, Google has me on complete tilt this week with changing those icons. I don't know if anybody else had that happen. Yeah. But I do agree. That's one of the reasons for the fellowship is new ideas about how the archive could be used. We've thought of the really traditional ways to use it, but what are the, in our current moment, what could we do with it? So I'd love to talk more about that.
I'm in the back here with Andrew.
Well, this is so amazing. I mean, thank you for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wanda.
Thank you. As a person who uses the internet, especially Google, a lot for research, I'm just wondering, do you have prioritizing because of how many searches people would hit? I'm sure you don't. The answer is no. But I'm just very curious if your search ranking in your archive goes up because of how many hits it gets.
I think it definitely does, but there's, my personal experience is that it's some kind of alchemy that, the wind will blow and then, we'll have low priority search results, and then it blows back the other way, and we're on the first page. So it's, I think, an imperfect.
Not your particular website, but there was the things you have archived.
Are you passing juice to the things in the archive? You're not, because they're down inside your subdomains.
Oh, I see.
I think so. That's how I understand it.
yeah, I should ask someone. That's.
I think I understand
I'm like,
the answers.
yeah. Someone who's not here, but no.
They're different and separate, and I think you guys have no robots on them as well, and so I think
No.
that they're not getting indexed in the same way. Crystal Hart.
Yeah, well, Andrea, that was a beautiful presentation, and yeah, I admire that you've achieved so much at just 29. That said,
Thank you.
That said, well, I don't know if it's a question or an idea, but I'm deeply, it is, but I'm deeply concerned. I'm deeply concerned about the interference that you're facing. And I think we humans have been horrible throughout history. We've changed books, we've changed history. And now with this, we can change the immutability of whatever has happened in the last 30, 40 years of our evolution. So how about you guys shift to the blockchain and transfer somehow, blockchainize your data so nobody can mess with it. And then if anybody asks you to take it down, you just can't take it down. And I don't know.
So we have done some of that work. We've worked with the Filecoin Foundation for the distributed web. And there's a petabyte of Internet Archive data, which I know is not the whole Internet Archive, that's in the Filecoin network that is distributed. And I know that sounded bad, but we need more. Like to Kush's point, we need more. So that's one way we're doing it, and there is some blockchain tech on the Wayback Machine. It just isn't surfaced on the interface. Yeah.
Andrea Mills, Internet Archive Canada. Fucking 2 heavy hitter female keynotes tonight. That was fucking amazing. Thank you, Andrea. You're generous with your time, and I appreciate people who put their money where their mouth is. And so thank you for being a sponsor, and I'm excited to do the fellowship with you. See what we can come up with. You young folks here in the third row, like this is what you could do this summer if you want, she's offering money. Can I get everyone who needs to make a community announcement up here right now? Tanya, Gordon, Simon, you did yours. Darby, did you submit your shit? Yeah. Great. Yeah. Darby, Philippe, you know if you're supposed to be up here. Come on. Matlock, you want to talk about Swarm for a sec? Thank you. And where's Ollie?
They've got a chemistry exam.
You better take 50% of the robot money you're about to rustle him up. All right, Erica, cool. Anyone else who feels like they need to be up here? You know what we're doing? All right. I don't see who that is who's coming, but I'm excited. Would you guys step into the light? We're making photos and videos. All right, come on up here, Philippe, Erica, everybody. So, hey, we're a big, huge, thriving community. We're 300 members. We got all these subgroups. There's a lot of interesting shit going on in our world. So, Kevin, press the button. Who's up first? That looks like Darbs. All right, actually, I hate that I did this. I made you all step into the light, but now part the sea.
Darbs, here you go, Darbs.
Yeah, of course. So I just did this like today. So Chris and I have started working on our BC Plus AI social media presence. And I run a creative studio. Basically, my background is in user experience design, and then I've moved into content design. And we have started to develop a whole online presence and point of view for BC Plus AI. So in the background here, I have examples of all the things we've been doing. Everything from getting Chris and a few folks to use disposable cameras and then taking pictures of their night, to like a listicle of all the cool things that have reasons why to be on BC Plus or to come to BC Plus AI events, which is actually posted today if you want to check that out on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Thanks, Darbs. I'm stoked.
No worries.
I'm gonna sneak my announcement in here for a second, actually. So one of the things that I was gonna give a talk tonight about the Future Proof Festival, which is, so this community has grown in stature and in numbers, and we keep getting asked to do something more substantial. I really appreciate y'all coming to these meetups. They are awesome. But we're going to do a 3-day conference at the end of October, the 28th, 29th, and 30th of October. It's going to be a culmination of Kevin's Film Festival, the Squatchy Awards from last year. We're going to bring in some outsider keynote speakers. We're going to have films and performances and keynotes and demos and robot wars and all sorts of interesting things. So, and I just asked Darby today to be the social media guy for the Future Proof Festival. So that's my tie-in there, because I'm not going to have a chance to make my announcement. You're still rocking the mic like you have more to say.
I do. So if you want to know more about the Future Proof Festival and you want updates regularly, Kev, can you hit it for the right at the slider after mine? Never mind. Hit it, Kev. Hit it again.
We're making it freestyle.
Yeah. Sorry. This one. You can add us on Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So if you aren't doing that, please do that right now.
Yeah, Darby would appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd very
Our
much
YouTube
appreciate
channel is
it.
about to break 1,000 followers. When people like Dr. Horst and Andrea Mills come in here, I'm like, come talk to our group, and I promise to give you back a great video, and it might go viral on the internet, because if you have, Darby's been helping out with some of that, so please do your part. All right.
Awesome.
Slingsby. Actually, let's do the wheel of Kevin. Kevin, hit the wheel. Keep hitting it. Oh, David Cox. I know.
What am I doing?
Unexpected. Next month, we're bringing back the demo pit.
Oh, yeah, the demo pit. Okay. Yeah, so next month we're going to be doing demo pits. So before the meeting, we'll have a guy sitting there, or a person sitting there demoing some of their stuff. I think we have already one person lined up for next month. So I got to arrange that. If you want to, we have a website on the Notion, which will have where the demo pitches. You can volunteer, and you can then tell me what to do, and I will liaise with you and make sure we have everything planned properly.
David's the new guy. So I don't even think he was here when we used to have 10 or 12 different demos out there in the hallway before, during the networking event and stuff like that. And then things got crazy. All y'all started showing up. The thing grew, and it got harder and harder to plan. So David was like, I liked the demo pit. Let's bring it back. So there's room for, this is your chance if you got some sort of quirky, weird thing you're working on, something you need feedback on, connect with David. We'll set you up, screens in the lobby while people are drinking and enjoying their barbecue. You can come talk to the people, check things out. It's a chance both to see new cool shit and to show your stuff to other people if you need to.
Yep, so get in touch with me, go for the Notion page. I don't know where the link is, but we'll get that sent out on the chat. So thank you.
Yeah. All right. Now that we don't have to part the Red Sea for Darby anymore, let's just all come back into the middle a little bit. Gord, we're going to do yours interview style. Come here. Come here, please. I know you have slides prepared and stuff, but Gord runs the Data for Good Society of Vancouver.
I don't actually. I'm just one of the leads. We are kind of a co-op.
That's true. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. They're awesome events and an awesome community. And he's connecting data nerds with nonprofits to solve their kind of data needs. And so he's kind of recruiting nonprofits. So if you know a nonprofit that has data, that wants to enter into the kind of AI age, wants to understand their data, wants to do governance stuff around that, who should they talk to about that kind of stuff?
The QR code that's...
Oh, right behind Matlock over there. But Gordon, that's what Gordon's trying to do. Okay. He's looking for nonprofits. He's recruiting nonprofits right now to connect to his something like 300 data volunteers that are looking for...
1,600.
1,600 people looking for volunteer assignments inside nonprofits doing awesome data stuff.
3 every day. It's amazing. So, and we're specifically looking for a way to get AI mentoring going for them. And actually, Martin came up with kind of a cool name. He thought maybe instead of data and AI, which is kind of generic, he thought data foundations.
I love it, Gordon.
Right?
I love it, Gordon.
Yeah.
Good job. And what else? Is there anything else you want to say? So we're recruiting nonprofits to connect with our data nerds. Is there anything else you need to say?
Yeah. It's free, right? Which the budget
for the nonprofits.
For the nonprofits. Yeah. We don't have a bank account even. So.
Just 1,600 data nerds looking for a good time.
And so this is just a couple examples. So here's lots of places we've worked for, but this thing, like it's crazy, this project. Food resilience in the Fraser Lowlands, so everything to do with food distribution. We're asked to like pull together the knowledge and the players and help people figure out where to, disaster-proof our food system, right? Right? And it's good, right? But we don't want to. We don't like Stephen Leacock had this great line about the hero ran out of the cabin, jumped on his horse, and rode off in all directions. Right? We want to be focused. We want to start off with an ontological structure, an infrastructure that we can hang the data from.
Land the ship, Gord.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I can talk for hours about this stuff. So that's an example.
I feel like all of a sudden me and you are in competition because you're looking for data nerds to engage with your nonprofits, but mostly you're looking for nonprofits because you got a lot of data nerds already. But me and Andrea are looking for data nerds to put their best stories forward to fund for the summer project or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here, man. I believe in what you're doing, and that's why.
Okay. QR code. So with two things, one for mentoring, and one if you know somebody that has a project, or if you happen to run into a nonprofit and they have data, we're ready.
I'm gonna bring you back another time to talk more about your vision for the mentoring thing, because I think we can solve some problems there as well. Chevalier and Erica.
Hey, so apparently you called me out earlier and I was in the washroom. I don't know what you said though.
I think just that we were doing something. I actually don't know what I said either.
Okay, well, I wanted to talk a little bit about Defrag, the project that we are building with Meta Creation Lab, and which will be part of the Future Proof Festival. And then also we're going to have an experience of Defrag at the Internet Archive. So this all ties together really nicely. So I'm here representing AI and generative arts. And I'm really excited about what we've been building. And
here for Erica's talk in January. Soft violence.
AI discourse.
Oh my God. First order artist using generative models from Philippe's lab to, in an open source way, extend her creativity and capabilities, got fucking dogpiled on the internet, telling her she wasn't a painter, she wasn't an artist, she was ruining art for everybody. Yeah. I just want to let you rock the mic.
No.
Okay. It fucking sucks, Erica.
No, it's really funny because you can do like 20 years of making art, and then you like use a generative media in some sort of way in your stack, and suddenly you're like the devil.
Thank you. There we go. Gotta trust my instincts.
So the reason I found this AI community at all is because I got into generative AI art before it really popped off, and I thought it was so cool and so beautiful, and it was my huge passion at the time. And then it became suddenly hated, and everyone was hating on me, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't know this was so hated. And I got really I first got really defensive, and I went to the, what do you call it, the people that like AI too much and get blinded by emotions. Yes, I became a booster, but not because that's how I actually felt. It's because I was emotionally hurt that people were seeing my creative output as completely devoid of creativity and human meaning and illegitimate. Yes, and even if I were to use models for my own art, people can't tell. They're just oh, generative AI. And then
that's what happened to her.
Oh my God!
She did a whole model on her shit and put it out there, and they're like, "Fuck you, this is fake."
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
You can be doing entirely ethical AI generation, and nobody cares because it's very reactive. So in my talk, this is what I talked about. Only 10% of the people actually wanted to talk about, platforms and whatnot. Most people just wanted to be reactive and be like, you're a slopstitute or whatever.
Yeah, I'll wrap it up quickly. But the reason I found this place was I got really sad. So I typed into Google, AI positive community in Vancouver. And this was the first thing that popped up.
You actually just made my night. I'm not targeting that word on SEO or anything, but I'm so happy that we came up with that's Erica runs the Ministry of Next. We're putting on defrag with meta creation at Future Proof. Philippe, you got something you want to say?
Not much really, but it's about time we throw a party. So a festival, who doesn't like a festival? I think it's a good idea.
I went to Base Coast with these two people last year, so let's go. So when Philippe's like, let's throw a party, he's got like an AI lab full of like 10 PhD and post-PhD people that are doing like generative music, visualization, arts. Like no one throws a party like Chevalier throws a party over here. Do you guys know the inside joke? Philippe got knighted by the government of France for his generative AI creative lab that he has at the School of Interactive Art and Technology last month. So he's officially a Chevalier, a Knight of France for his creative AI work. May I continue to be your lowly squire? Let's go. We gotta wrap this shit up. Finn, how about you come talk robots? And Matlock's gotta move.
Hello. Yeah, so some of you know that along with Aaron, who's shyly hiding in the audience there, but the two of us coach a high school robotics team. And back in the days when there used to be a demo pit, some of you have seen the robot driving around in the foyer here. And we came back recently from Houston, and I'm pleased to say we were the #1 rated team in Canada.
You all should pat yourselves on the back because like we're building a collective, and when you guys buy tickets and put money into the organization, it becomes a real thing, and the real thing is able to fund student robotics teams, which is what we've done with some of the money, and they won Canada, and then they won best team from Canada at the American competition recently.
That's exactly
so it's all, thank you guys, it's all y'all.
And Ollie says, can they come back next month and do a proper thank you when they don't have an exam tomorrow?
Yeah, but I'm gonna give him some sort of bar to meet in order to get there. But yeah, if he brings back the robots and reprograms them to do something cool.
And by way of announcement, I just wanted to let everyone know that we've just put in our bid to be Team Canada for the international competition. Which is a collaboration between 4 high schools in Vancouver, and we're very hopeful, and I hope next month we will come back and say we are Team Canada, and we're going to look for support for awareness and fundraising from all of you, because what we found in Texas is that we were competitive with teams that had like 10 times our budget.
Let me get to the heart of the matter. So Finn and his son Ollie and I, we built a fundraising page for their team through BC AI. So people want to give them money, but they're not able to take it because they don't have a nonprofit. So they're running it through our nonprofit. So if you're interested in robots and high schoolers and Finn and Ollie, we got a way for you to donate, and it means a lot to them. Actually, it does. Is the dude who's taking over the team here still? Ollie,
they'll come back.
I'm so proud of Ollie, man. He's going to become a doctor at Oxford, right?
At Imperial College in London.
Imperial College in London, heading off soon. And but he named his second in charge to run the robot club, and he brought him here tonight. So, thank you, Finn.
Excellent.
You want to pass it off to Tanya there?
Hi, I'm here to talk about MAC.
Which is the mind, AI, and consciousness trippy group that we have here.
Yes. So we are having a MAC deep dive with June 18th, I believe, but it's already full. My friends, looking at a book called Blind Spot, and it's about how science and
you could still read the book and chat on the channels.
Chat on the channels, yes, and we are on WhatsApp and on Discord. But for those of you that are interested about minds and AI and consciousness, it is a group that is held to some responsibility in that we do readings. We do have deep conversations within a small group, usually around 20 people. And I believe in July, we'll be introducing a new concept, which is something called the Mac Lab, which sounds very exciting. I don't know too much about it yet.
I do. So, like, we run these reading groups, like Tanya is saying, and like 10 of the 20 people that come are very high level research, like PhDs or, you know, researchers contributing to first order AI knowledge about consciousness. But we also endeavor to have like a laptops out, hands on, token burning exploration of like what's going on in the world as it relates to these things. And so we're building these Mac labs, which is a container to test some of these guys' theories of consciousness. So we've got some token sponsors. We're bringing together just like a more technical, hands-on environment to test some of the things that we're talking about all the time. So our first one is called Minimal Viable Consciousness, and it's happening in July.
Yes. So yes, I highly recommend it, especially if you're, you know, a thinker and you're thinking about, you know, what it is to be human, what it is to be human during this age, what it means to be humans together in this age. So
thank you, Slingsby. Yep. Thank you very much, Tanya. Matlock. Matt here, you guys might know from his swarm looping methodology that he's been putting out on the internet. Come on right up here in the sunlight, bro. Welcome. What you got to share?
Thanks. Yeah, I didn't prepare anything, but I thought I would talk quickly about what I've released for Swarm this week. First off, Dr. Horst, I'm not sure if you're still here, but I really enjoyed your talk, and I feel like it overlaps with a lot of the creativity stuff I've been working on. So for like the last year, I've been pretty deep into I'm a designer. I'm also an artist and a musician, but I've been working like deeply into looking into AI, not so much to generate design or creative work, but to maybe better understand my process and I'm someone, I guess, who moves with a lot of intuition in my work, and I wanted to better be able to understand my work so I could move with more intention. And out of that process came Swarm, which is, like Chris just said, it's a kind of a loop-based, non-linear system for creativity. And
people talk about taste, judgment, critical thinking as the essential human characteristics that differentiate us and define our role in this AI future. So Matlock here, and that's all fine and good if you already got those things. You think you got great taste, you think you got great judgment, you got critical thinking. But what if you don't? What if you're 18 years old and you're staring at it from the other side? You're like, how can I develop those things? Is there a gym I can go to to develop taste, creativity, judgment, critical thinking? So this is what Matt's building over here.
Yeah, and that's a good point to mention the judgment, because like with AI, like when you're working like in a loop, what often is really missing are the pauses for human judgment, right? So the point of Swarm also is to kind of insert those points for where the human can interact with the loop to make sure that we are injecting our taste or our judgment, all of these things in there, right? So anyhow, this week I released on GitHub a tool that you can plug into your bot and you can run Swarm loops with it. So that's what I wanted to come up and mention. I don't have a slide or anything. My website, though, is swarmloop.xyz. And from there, you should be able to navigate to it, or I'm on all the chat channels, so feel free to.
The vibe coders in the room will know about like pointing your agents at Andre Karpathy's skill deal or whatever. Well, Matt's releasing his own Swarm agents as like an Andre Karpathy skill thing. You can just plug into your Claude code. All of a sudden, it gets way smarter.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, man.
Come on out here, Brenda. Anyone else need to talk tonight?
Oh, look at that.
You're the last one.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to mention I am a pitch coach, judge and trainer, and I have 2 free online workshops coming up called 3 Tips Founders Seeking Funding Can Use to Improve Their Next Pitch. They are on June 10th at 4 p.m. and June 25th at 8 a.m. And if you go to that link, you'll get to my Luma page and you can register there.
Okay.
You might want to stop.
You can hang on to it for a sec. You never know what might happen. Just hang out with me. We're gonna shut this party down together. Oh, okay. That guy that just tapped me on the shoulders was the Space Center. He says, "This has seemed awesome, but it's about time to go." And then I reminded him that we have it till 10:30. So, what's about to happen now is we're all gonna say goodbye. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, we're gonna part the Red Seas and let Kevin land this ship. But what's about to happen here is we have till 10:30 in here. I'd appreciate if you guys clean up in here. We're not supposed to eat or drink in here, but they give us special permissions because we're respectful. So if you could keep that going for next month, that would be awesome. Bar's gonna be open till 10:30. Eliza and Noah, Eliza Schwartzman and Noah Tedeschi are two just recently this week graduated from high school members of this community. They've got a cookie business. We ordered $500 worth of cookies for y'all, so those are waiting in the hallway for you. Bar's open, cookies open. All right, let's wrap this thing up.
I got one already. Now I'm two hands full. We just had our fifth film club about a week and a half ago, and wow, it really does keep getting better every month. We featured Dorothy Pang. Thank you. We featured Dorothy Pang, who has been, Vancouver AI artist who has been absolutely destroying it out there. She's on several top 50 women in AI lists. From Forbes, Leonardo.ai, all sorts of things. She's winning competitions. CapCut flew her down to South by Southwest to feature one of her works. She's just absolutely killing it. We finally got her on stage. She was actually due in New York that night to receive yet another award, but she's like, you know what? I'm going to hang around and be at your Web Summit party. So the clips and so much more. Our prompt challenges were amazing that night too. 2 streams of which amazing creativity and up leveling of creativity as well. I've remarked a few times tonight to several folks that people who are like really coming in monthly from the prompt challenge, you're really seeing a measured increase in their storytelling capabilities. It is absolutely brilliant to see. So, and a lot of these people have never touched filmmaking before, which is absolutely astounding. So our next one is June 11th. I'm going to announce the key person that it's 99% across the finish line. But if you want a little sneak preview, look up a little viral clip that just hit in the last week. It's a GTA 5 rendition of life in Vancouver. You might have seen it floating around. It's had huge numbers. We're pretty darn close to having him. So I'm really excited to feature him and everyone else around here just seeing what this new frontier has got. Thank you very much, folks. And now we have an empty stage and a lack of Chris. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you very much, folks. Have a brilliant night. We'll see you again next month.